Layna here. Welcome back to my channel. This channel is all about my recovery from anorexia. Today's video was actually requested by someone on my Instagram. Today I'm going to be talking about ADHD, and I'm also going to be talking about how ADHD affects my eating disorder. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Okay guys, so what is ADHD? It is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So it's basically, honestly, kind of what it sounds. We have trouble paying attention, we're very hyperactive, and there's a lot of things that come with it. It took me years and years to list them all. I was diagnosed with ADHD from a very young age. I would pretty much say 7, 8, maybe 9 or 10, just around that area. But I've known that I've had ADHD for a long time, and I've been on meds for it for a very long time. I've always struggled with paying attention, hyperactivity, and just all of that. I have not always had an eating disorder. So yeah, I've always had ADHD, but I've not always had an eating disorder. So it's ADHD, there's a lot of things that can come with it. Forgetfulness, not being able to wait for people to finish talking before you say something because you want to just get it out, forgetting to close cabinets, lack of paying attention, unable to sit still. There's a million different things that go along with it, to be honest. So there's a lot of different things. Let's just leave it at that. One main thing that I really want to talk about is how ADHD has affected my eating disorder, anorexia. Well, I have always had trouble paying attention, and I was always the kind of kid that never paid attention to when they were hungry. So it was hard for me when people told me to go off of my hunger feelings. I never really could do that because I never paid attention to when I was hungry. This affected every aspect of my life. I never paid attention to when my asthma was acting up, so we couldn't address the asthma before it got really bad. So not being able to pay attention has affected every part of my life. But it's just really difficult because I feel like when I didn't catch the eating disorder early on because I wasn't paying attention. Because I wasn't paying attention to it taking over my life. I knew I was doing something, but I didn't know that it was taking over my life until it was too late. Because I wasn't paying attention to realizing how it was taking over my life and taking over my brain. So I feel like that's one thing, like, that really just, yeah. And one thing is, when you have ADHD, you often hyperfixate on things. You will, like, just latch on to something. It could be food, a TV show, it could be an activity, a sport, anything. So I definitely feel like hyperfixation really played a part in my eating disorder because I hyperfixated on using it to cope with other things in my life. I could control this, but I couldn't control other things in my life. So I hyperfixated on movement and excessive movement and restriction and safe foods, and it was not good. So I hyperfixated on the eating disorder, and I latched on, and once I latched on, I didn't want to let go because my ADHD was like, this is what I hyperfixate on, this is what I have. I'm going to hold on to this. Lack of attention, as I said, I wasn't paying attention to what was happening to my mind before it was too late. Because I remember vividly one day crying in the shower because my stomach was rumbling, and I was like, why am I doing this to myself? But I feel like in that moment I realized my attention had snapped, and I was paying attention for just a second, but then the eating disorder took over again, and I was like, because you have to. And it was like my final grasp and my final, like, oh wait, I need to pay attention, but it didn't work. So lack of attention to what was happening to my mind and to my life definitely played a part in my eating disorder. Unable to sit, this combined with the eating disorder really blew up in my face, because with the eating disorder, I had a purging method of movement and exercise. I would do it for way too long. And I'm always so jittery, and I don't like sitting down. I like getting stuff done. And so with the ADHD symptom of not being able to sit down, and not being able to just be in one place and wanting to go, mixed with feeling like I need to, really just solidified that and took over, because I had two compelling forces that latched onto each other, and it just, so yeah. And another one I feel like with ADHD is up and down moods. Like, as a child, I was constantly going from happy to angry, and my emotions were very extreme, especially anger. And so throughout the eating disorder, not only was I up and down moods because the eating disorder was playing with my mind and I was malnourished, that caused mood swings, but my ADHD was causing mood swings. And I was so consumed from the eating disorder, I stopped taking my ADHD medication, because I was so focused on the food aspect and the lack of attention. So I just stopped taking my ADHD meds, and that was not good. That definitely really allowed the eating disorder to sneak in, because I was up and down. So ADHD affects my life in so many ways. Like, I forget to shut cabinets, I hyperfixate on activities, and then 2 days later I realize I've bought a crap ton of stuff and I don't like the activity anymore. I don't like watching new TV shows or trying new TV shows because I just hyperfixate. And that also plays a huge part in my recovery as well, because with the hyperfixation, I hyperfixate on foods that I now really enjoy, and I get very sad when I don't have them, which also played a part in creating food fears, because I hyperfixated on foods that I deemed safe, and I was too afraid to go outside of that zone, so it created an easier environment for food fears to sneak in. So right now I'm hyperfixated on waffles. So yeah, but I hyperfixated on numerous things during my recovery, and I'm still in recovery, but like when I wasn't in recovery, I hyperfixated on things that I deemed as safe, and whenever that people wanted me to have something else, I panicked, because my ADHD hyperfixated on something, and then my eating disorder was like, oh, let's just take this and build on it. So yeah, I would get freaked out. Like, I would just panic and cry, and I hyperfixated on walking, and I would walk for hours and pace for hours, because I was like, oh, pacing, that's just because I have ADHD, right? Yes, but it was also a way for my eating disorder to sneak in and make me feel like I had to do it. So yeah. And people with ADHD some people have struggles with time management. And I feel like that was also something that played a part in my eating disorder, because I would get very stressed out if something changed, or if I wasn't able to space my meals out the way I wanted them to be. And it was just really hard. I feel like another thing with ADHD is not liking change. I really got panicked every time, like if I had a plan to eat this, or I had my meal plan, I would plan my meals in advance, like a couple days in advance. And I would plan my routines and everything, and I would plan when I was going to do my movement and how long I was going to do it. And I would make a routine, and if it changed even the slightest, it threw me off completely. And I panicked, because I would wake up at like really, really early in the morning, times that I should not have been up at, so I could get my movement in before everyone else got up and I had things to do for the day or had to go to school. So the ADHD and the time management kind of went hand in hand with the eating disorder, because the eating disorder told me you need to keep a regular schedule and you need to space out your meals and snacks to a certain amount of time, and you cannot go to bed after eating. It was just very consuming, and it became hard for me to time manage and have a life outside my eating disorder. So it was very hard because I hyperfixated on having a routine, and it was a very unhealthy routine. Um, it was not good for me at all, and it just was really bad for me. Um, so yeah, just ADHD, it affects so many parts of my life, but I definitely know that it played a part in developing an eating disorder. Now, I'm not saying that everyone with ADHD is going to develop an eating disorder, but I am saying that your mental health and your special needs, they can play a part in your eating disorder developing and in the scenarios and the intensity of your eating disorder. Because, for example, if you have autism, depression, anxiety, OCD, they all play a part. I have OCD, and I was obsessive with the eating disorder. So, you should not beat yourself up for struggling, because you might have underlying things that make the eating disorder harder, that make it harder to recover. And it is okay to ask for help and find help. So yeah, just there are a lot of factors that can play into an eating disorder, but your eating disorder is not less valid because you have extra struggles. It is not, and it's also not less valid if you don't have any underlying struggles. You are always valid. No eating disorder is going to be exactly the same. We are all different people. We were all made genetically different. There is no possible way for someone to have an identical eating disorder because we are all different people. So yeah. Anyways, thank you so much for requesting this video. It never really occurred to me that I could do a video like this, but I'm really happy that I'm doing it. So thank you so much, and thank you so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you guys can be notified when I post a new video. Here is my Instagram. I post there a lot. So yeah, and here's my TikTok. I don't really post there that often. I prefer Instagram and YouTube and stuff, but I'll put it in there anyway. Keep kicking eating disorder butt, guys, and remember I love you. Have a great day. Bye, guys.